Hello, I am Disbrew, and we start this week, obviously, with the biggest game, remaining the biggest game, Elden Ring. Yes, Elden Ring director has told newcomers to just chill out and embrace death. In a recent interview for Famitsu, which has been translated, the director was asked, what tips do you have for any kind of new players looking into the game? Where he says he actually simply wants players to relax and try to enjoy the new RPG, not to fear death, but instead embrace the trial and error process that comes with Elden Ring. And when I was a kid, gamers would get told this a lot by games developers. Get good was general message of the thing. If you actually complained about a game being too hard, the developers would come out and just publicly tell you to improve. And all of that went by the wayside, largely down to an attitude where people thought that the game is bad when they were awful at it. And so games developers started making things easy. And honestly, Elden Ring changing that and being a massive success gives me a lot of hope for the future. And I do hope that other game developers are paying attention to that. And some crazy stuff has been happening with Elden Ring. Like a speedrunner has claimed the world record 5 times in 4 days. He's just basically beating his own record at this point and has now finished the game in under 30 minutes. Now, I've not finished the game, so unfortunately, I can't watch his speedrun, even though I am extremely curious, just because I don't want to see too much about things later on in the game. But considering how long I know other people talk about how long this game takes to beat, I'm very curious. And as you can see, actually when it comes to the numbers, it is still holding strong at the top of the Steam leaderboards. It's even beating Lost Ark now, and Lost Ark, actually it turns out there may be other reasons why that's been losing players recently. And for a single player full price game to hit the top of the Steam charts on its own anyway was a massive success, but to maintain that position at the top of the boards just goes to show how massive this game really is. Because if this game was like 20 hours long, people would have played it, completed it, stopped playing it. But there's just so much to do, people just don't get bored. Although one thing I am bored about people talking about is George R.R. Martin's contribution to this game. Honestly, was that a big selling point for anyone? It certainly wasn't for me. And it turns out that now people are saying, oh, the demigods have all got his initials. It's not a big selling point to me. I mean, honestly, writing his initials in a game is probably more work than he's done in the last decade combined. And then we get this story, which is just overall genuinely impressive. He essentially made his own artwork that fit into the same style of Elden Ring and just developed a level for it, and it looks absolutely incredible. I really wish I could do something like this, just create something that looked this gorgeous. But then he actually went a step further and he made it first person. And quite frankly, I just want a first-person Elden Ring. I think that would be amazing. Yeah, you've got third-person and everything else, but this world is actually so gorgeously designed, because third-person's all well and good, but quite frankly, first-person, if you're after immersion, nothing gets me more involved in a game than first person. I even think sword fighting and everything is far superior in first person, so I would love some kind of ability to play through the game in that kind of method. And for me, I don't think there's any better sales pitch that you could make than this guy doing it in his own sort of imitational artwork of Elden Ring. I think it's great. Blizzard have decided that it might be time to actually put out a game for once, and so they've started releasing news about Overwatch 2. Apparently they have decoupled the PvP from the PvE, which allows them to actually move forwards and release something for a game that I think most people thought would have been out years ago. And this week, Overwatch pros are moving into the Overwatch 2 system, and late in April is when there will be their first closed beta, although later in the year they'll open that up to more people. Be interesting to see if the end of April beta is streamable, because early Overwatch betas actually were as well, and if they are, then we'll soon learn a lot more about the game. Although as the details they put out is essentially we're moving it to 5v5 by dropping a tank, we're going to add one new hero, a couple of hero reworks, and a few maps. I do have to question, is this actually still a sequel? Will it play the same, or will it just play like they've removed a tank off the board? Because I do think after everything that Overwatch went through and just the period of literally nothing happening, I don't know how they're going to get players back. I don't think PvE was going to do it. I don't think PvP will, unless it's an entirely new game. Because unless it is completely overhauled, I think a lot of people will come back and then realize it's got all the same problems as before and leave again. Some good news, though, is they did release a developer update, and they were at least making the right signals that they do realize that they actually have to work on this game if they want it to survive, rather than just leaving it alone like they did in the original one as all their player base left. So they're at least making the right noises and saying the right words. It's just, for me, when that kind of thing happens, when you've already destroyed your first game, I find it tough to believe, because words are easy, but actions, when it comes to actually releasing content on a timely schedule, that seems to be the difficult part for Blizzard to actually follow through with. So I'm interested. I was a big fan of Overwatch, and I would love to be again. I'm just very cautious as of now. In a couple of days on March 17th, there will be a PlayStation State of Play focusing exclusively on Hogwarts Legacy. This is going to be a 20-minute show with almost 15 minutes of gameplay. There'll also be some contributions from the Avalanche software team, who aim to bring insight into bringing the wizarding world to life. So if you're a big fan of Harry Potter, then this should be an interesting event for you. And this is a bit of an unusual one, considering that the State of Play for PlayStation tend to be for major PlayStation releases. And yet this is a game being released across PC, Xbox, as well as the PlayStation. And so it's a multi-platform title that they think is so good, they actually want to dedicate one of their shows to. So this is going to be an interesting one to watch. I'm always asking for more gameplay at these kind of events myself, so just 14 minutes of it in a 20-minute show is right up my street, and yeah, let's hope we get something good. Lost Ark is an incredibly popular game. It was riding high at the top of the Steam charts for a long, long time. Although it's beginning to look like those numbers aren't quite as good as they first appeared. It started 10 days ago when they got caught banning over 1 million bot accounts, and then suddenly lots of the servers opened up and there wasn't the queuing problem that there were before. And now Amazon has come out again and gone, yeah, the bots remain one of Lost Ark's top issues, and you can continue to expect more ban waves to come. And if you actually look at the player numbers, you see a very disturbing picture. Not only did I show earlier that Elden Ring has knocked it off the scoreboard, but you can actually see the huge amount of players which have dropped over time. Because we started at launch with 1.3 million players and huge queues everywhere, but it was March 4th when they actually decided, we've got a load of bot problems and huge queues, and we really need to start clearing out these bots so actual players can get into our servers. And when they banned the bots, as you can see in the top graph, there was a dip of about 60,000 players, but very quickly, those numbers rose back up to 900,000 2 days later. The issue they've had is that since this peak in 900,000, the numbers have plummeted off a cliff, and we're now down to 471,000. That means in 9 days, since they said they were going to focus on banning bot accounts, they've lost half of their player base. So there's only two real options. Either suddenly half of their player base all got bored of the game at exactly the same time, or a significant number of those people were bots, and they've just found out that, yeah, those numbers aren't quite as good as they were looking in the first place. Now, don't get me wrong, 475,000 concurrent players is very good. It's still second on the Steam charts. Obviously, it's still an incredibly popular game. I'm not knocking Lost Ark at all. It's just that a significant amount of them were probably bots, and they're all getting knocked out as Amazon is actually handling the issue. So I do think it's good overall that Amazon's cleaning house, but we can probably expect these charts to be very interesting over the next couple of weeks as the numbers actually level out to what they should always have been. Of course, one of the massive benefits of this, if you do play Lost Ark yourself, is likely no queues, and that's gotta be a good thing. Bungie is working on a new third-person action game, and while they haven't actually officially announced anything of yet, we do have this from a job position that's been advertised for the company. And I do find it interesting with a game like Elden Ring being such a massive hit, and suddenly Bungie, a game which actually owns Destiny 2, and I have to say the latest expansion is awesome, the campaign is easily their best one. I'm very interested to see what they can come up with some kind of new game or possibly new IP. It's got to be tempting, doesn't it, with a game like Elden Ring coming out, making all of that money, and you're like, oh, we could do that, we could do that. Suddenly you start advertising for new job positions. I think the latest expansion for Destiny 2 has proven that their campaigns can pull their weight. It's just something that they would have to focus on if they did want something that could possibly compete with Elden Ring. And honestly, look, there's absolutely zero proof at all that this job listing has anything to do with Elden Ring. That's just probably me being extremely overly hopeful for absolutely no reason whatsoever, but would be good though, wouldn't it, if Bungie tried? Call of Duty Warzone is getting a mobile version of itself. Yes. It's a mobile game. Yay. Look, I'm a huge fan of Warzone, but honestly, my entire excitement for it is strictly limited to Rebirth. just because I don't find Caldera interesting in the slightest. But I would love nothing more than to Warzone to hit its glory days again with some actual talent and some good maps. But the content coming out for it is so slowly paced. The map change is so slow and dull. And then when you finally get one all that time later, it's awful. I can't help but be a little bit miffed when I find out, oh yeah, they're making a mobile version of the game. And look, it does say here that they're actively hiring. So yes, these could all be new studios and they could all be hiring new people and take absolutely no one off Warzone at all. I understand that. Still doesn't help, though, when all I want is a decent Warzone with a decent map and you actually make a BR and listen to your customers, and when you've actually released a map which is terrible, maybe just put Verdansk back in so we can actually choose which map we want to play, because we all know it wouldn't be Caldera, and you all know that map would die, which is why you're not giving us a chance. Look, is this about Call of Duty Warzone Mobile, or is this me just ranting about Warzone? I don't know, but I am a bit annoyed by the entire little thing, and let's face it, how many people are actually going to play this anyway? Because if you are, I'm very, very happy for you, and I'm glad you can get some enjoyment out of the mobile game. I'm just really disappointed with what I've got to play. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe. More videos like this in the future, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.